Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm going to be sharing what I believe to be our forgettable standard designer fragrances. Now, for the most part, these are fresh and clean and all on the masculine side, or most of them will be on the masculine side. I'll do a separate video for the feminine fragrances. So, Versace Pour Homme. What I remember is that it had poor performance, but nothing about it really stuck out to me. And it's going to be hard for me to describe these fragrances just because all of them are going to have a similar description to what I just said about Versace Pour Homme. So yeah, and by the way, I'm not saying these are bad fragrances, okay? It's like, for the most part, these are very mass appealing. And if you blind buy any of these and wear them, and you haven't really worn a fragrance before, you're gonna feel good. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, I smell good. So for the most part, these smell good. They'll hit the mark, but they kind of just all blur and blend together. The next one is K by Dolce Gabbana. If you put a test strip or two test strips of Versace Pour Homme and K in front of me right now, or two people passed by wearing them, I wouldn't be like, oh shit, yeah, that smells like K. It's the bottle with the crown on it, but it just smells like everything else. Another one, which is probably going to be controversial, is Versace Dylan Blue. Now, this fragrance is more versatile. It's not just the fresh and clean. I feel like you can wear it at nighttime, and it's very mass appealing. But for some reason, if you asked me right now what Dylan Blue smelled like, I could not tell you. In comparison to something like Versace Eros, Eros is a fragrance where I'm like, okay, that's mint, apple, vanilla. It's the fragrance DNA that really stands out to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that shit definitely has character. You know what I mean? But with Dylan Blue, it's lacking to me. So since we're talking about the Versaces, I am going to throw in Versace Eros Flame. All I could tell you is that it smells similar to Versace Eros, but the thing that separates it is just kind of fallen on me. And these are fragrances, by the way, that I have smelled on other people. These aren't ones that I have tested on myself. I've smelled them on test strips and on other people. So that's just my opinion on them. It's just Versace Eros Flame. It smells a bit different from Eros. You're kind of like, oh, that kind of smells like Eros, but you're not like, oh shit, that's Eros Flame. You know what I mean? Another one is Mon Blanc Explorer. Now, Explorer is a fragrance lots of people have asked me about because I've given my opinion on Club de Nuit Intense Man by Armaf and Creed Aventus. So apparently it's supposed to be a clone of that Aventus DNA, but I did not get that. To me, it just smelled like a very generic type of cologne. That's pretty much it. Another one is Mon Blanc Legend. Legend is just, I don't remember at all what Legend smells like. My favorite Mont Blanc fragrance, though, is Legend Spirit, because I remember there was a day I was at Sephora and I smelled about 27 different fragrances, both on the masculine and feminine side. And out of everything that I tried on, the masculine with the Dior's, the Chanel's, the YSL's, Legend Spirit was the one test strip I kept coming back to, and I'm like, damn, I want this in my collection. This is so good. And the thing is, it's a very simple, fresh deodorant type of smell, and you wouldn't think that it'd be something that stuck out, but it just did, it didn't smell like a blue fragrance that so many brands are trying to come up with. It didn't smell like a blue fragrance. It had that fresh deodorant sort of smell, and I was like, this is sexy, and then it happened that I ended up getting it in my collection, and when I did wear it, I really loved it. People around me really loved it, and it's a very inexpensive fragrance. It's like $45 on discount size, $35 to $45. But at retail, when I saw that at Sephora, it was going for like $85. I was like, holy shit. So definitely go to a discount site in case you're planning on getting Legend Spirit or any fragrance, honestly speaking. So another one that was forgettable to me, well, this is kind of tricky a little bit. It's Ultem by YSL. Now, I do remember sort of what the opening smelled like, kind of a combination of L'Homme and La Nuit de l'Homme. And if you're thinking to yourself, if you're like, wait, that's not forgettable then, since you kind of remember what it smelled like, it's the dry down that I'm talking about. The dry down was a very like the dry down really let me down with Ultem, just because it didn't kind of keep the character that, like, you know, La Nuit de l'Homme and L'Homme had. Like the opening of it I really liked, but the dry down was just like, it smelled like a totally different fragrance. It smelled like somebody, like I just walked through Macy's and I smelled like the fragrance department. Like that's what it smelled like to me. And I was like, what? Where is that beautiful opening that I smelled? And also the performance on it was bad. So that's a bit tricky. It's not like a super forgettable scent the whole entire wear, but definitely that dry down, it really just like plummeted to me. Okay, I'm gonna make a separate video about my thoughts on Jo Malone. Yeah, I'm gonna do that right after this video, actually. And the last thing I'll say is with Ralph Lauren's. Okay, this is another kind of tricky one. Ralph Lauren does have a recognizable DNA, right? But it's kind of like, once you've smelled one Ralph Lauren, you've smelled them all. It's not really, like for me, I've smelled people wearing red and blue and ultra blue, and I liked them. Like I love the way that those smell, but I could not tell, like when I smell Polo Blue, I'm not like, oh, that smells like Polo Blue. I'm just like, okay, that's a Polo fragrance. You know, the green one I haven't tried, or the black bottle, but for the most part, every single time I have tried a Polo scent, it's just kind of like, which one is this? You know, but I know that it smells nice. It does smell nice. Let me see if I'm forgetting anything else. Haven't really tried much from Prada except for Prada L'Homme and La Femme. With Givenchy, not really. Oh, Gucci Guilty. Yeah, I'm going to throw in Gucci Guilty in the mix. I know that's a fan favorite for a lot of people, but I could not tell you what Gucci Guilty smelled like. Now that, I don't think it was a completely fresh type of fragrance. I believe there was some sweetness to that. It had some versatility. Don't remember the performance at all. It was actually a skin scent on the guy that I smelled it on. I was trying to like find it, and it was just kind of there, but it wasn't really a fragrance that I was like, oh yeah, like you smell nice. It was just like, there's a hint of cologne on you, but it just smells like your regular type of cologne, if that makes sense. With Gucci, I haven't really gravitated to any of their fragrances. Gucci Guilty Black is probably my favorite, but even with that, it's still a 7 out of 10 fragrance for me. It takes you there. No, it almost takes you there. And then it kind of just like eases off. You know, it's kind of like when you're about to go cliff jumping and you're at the edge of the cliff, and before you jump, you're kind of like, oh no, and then you kind of back away. You know what I mean? That's what it does. Like, but yeah, with the other Guccis, like Gucci Bloom, no, Gucci Guilty, forgettable, just my opinion. All right, let me know if you have any forgettable fragrances that's your opinion. You know what I mean? So put that all in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.